Hello, everyone. Welcome back to RYGR Sports. My name is Logan,
And my name is Yash.
and in today's episode, we're going to be going over our Final Four preview and talking about what happened in the Elite Eight and going over our predictions for these last um, two games leading up to the national championship, which I believe is going to be next week. Um, so the Final Four teams are Arizona, Illinois, UConn, and Michigan. Now, I would say a lot of people probably could have predicted this Final Four. I know throwing Illinois in there is, I know probably a lot of people didn't see them going to the Final Four, but they're a great team. I mean, I'm not surprised that they made it to the Final Four. So I'm not surprised with any of these four teams. I know UConn kind of struggled to end the year, but you go into the tournament as a two seed, you have a shot to make the Final Four for sure. So, um, when you take a look at these four teams, I mean, these four teams are extremely talented. I think Arizona is the best team in the country. I think Michigan is the second best team in the country. And then Illinois and UConn have some major talent on their teams as well. So I really do think that this Michigan Arizona game is the winner of that game. I do think is going to end up winning the national championship just because I think those two teams are far and away better than UConn and Illinois. I mean, my favorite team, Michigan State, beat Illinois in the regular season in overtime, and they just went toe to toe with UConn. I mean, if they didn't start that game 3 for 17 from the field, they probably end up beating them and going to the Elite Eight to play Duke. But yeah, so I do think that the Arizona Michigan winner will go on to win the national championship. When you take a look at these Elite Eight games, really what Michigan did was expected. I did not think Tennessee was going to really keep that game close. I mean, maybe they could have kept it close in the first half, but I did think Michigan was going to run away with that one in the second half, and they really dominated them from the opening tip. And they won the game by like 25 points, which is in an Elite Eight game is crazy. Usually those games are very close, but Michigan really handled business like they've done all season long, and they're really a handful for the Arizona Wildcats now. I do think Arizona is up to the test. I think they're talent wise, I think they're better than Michigan. But what we saw from Michigan in that last game against Tennessee, if they come out hitting threes and rebounding the ball and playing good defense like they've done all season long, I think this Michigan team can definitely give Arizona a run for their money for sure. But it's going to be tough. I think that game is going to be very, very close. I think it's going to be very high scoring. And I do think the winner of that ends up beating either Illinois or UConn. So I'm really looking forward to watching that game. Two just outstanding teams with so much talent. And then when you go to the other side and look at UConn and Illinois, I think it's more of a defensive battle, unlike the Arizona Michigan game. UConn has a great defense, and Illinois has a solid defense. They're not great, but I do think their defense is good enough to kind of contain UConn. UConn doesn't really have a lot of shifty guards. They more kind of rely on their defense with Tyrese Reed, who's a monster inside the paint. That guy is a rebounding machine. And then Alex Caravan is also a great player who can knock down the three as well. So I think those two players are the key for them. And then when you take a look at Illinois, freshman Keaton Wagler is going to be big for them. And then, of course, their two big men inside, the Ivic brothers, I think are going to be important in that game as well. I mean, obviously, when you play a team like UConn, defensive rebounding is always going to be such a key because UConn is a great rebounding team. They play great defense, and they really play a kind of grinded out type of game or type of style. So I think Illinois is the better offense. If they can get hot from three, they got some real nice shooters on that team. I think they can beat UConn. I think Illinois does beat this UConn team. I mean, considering they just won on the last second miracle. I mean, 99 times out of 100 they lose that game. So I think UConn got lucky, but sometimes you have to rely on luck in these type of games. So I am going to take Illinois to beat UConn. I think they have a more well-rounded offense, and I think their size is a lot better. I think Illinois is one of the biggest teams in the country on height. So I think they have the advantage there. I think they have the advantage offensively. I'm going to take them to squeak one out against UConn and make it to the national championship. And then on the other side, I really think this game is a coin flip. I think either way, it's going to be a close game down to the final few minutes. But if I could pick a team to win right now, I'm still undecided really. I would give the edge to Arizona just because I think they have a little bit better of an offense. But these two teams are as best as it gets, as good as it gets. So I'm expecting a close one. But I'll hand it over to Yash now for more on these matchups.
Yeah, so obviously I'm going to start with UConn, who should technically not have been here, but they played their hearts out, right? I mean, they were down 19 points at halftime. They were down 10 points in the second half. I mean, unbelievable what they were able to kind of do. And, I feel like they're going to be able to kind of carry this momentum against Illinois. I do have UConn making, well, I didn't originally, but now I do have UConn making the national championship. I also do have them playing Arizona. I do think Arizona is going to kind of pull it out a little bit. I think they can just kind of score a little bit more than Michigan. I know it kind of sounds kind of stupid, but I just feel like Arizona's more efficient with the basketball. They're more careful with the basketball, and in these kind of things, turnovers mean double. I think Arizona is gonna kind of force some turnovers on Michigan's side. Um, kind of looking at Michigan last week, they absolutely dominated Tennessee, 95-62. Meanwhile, Arizona basically destroyed Purdue as well, 79-64. But I personally think that the Arizona Michigan game is going to be a lot closer than the UConn Illinois game. I do think UConn wins by 8 or 9 points. However, I do see Arizona versus Michigan kind of going into maybe who has the ball last or something like that. But I do have Arizona taking the edge of that game. One thing I do want to bring up is, I was really kind of surprised that Arizona kind of made it this far. I know that they're a good team. They're one seed. They score a lot. But I just really felt that they weren't really built for this compared to some of the matchups that they had. Hold on, give me 1 second. The bracket went away. Uh, Jeez, that sucks.
But yeah, the line in that game is 50-50. They have
Yeah.
Arizona
Is it actually like
plus one and
completely
a half right
50-50
now. Yeah,
or
so it's essentially it's a pick 'em between those two. They have Illinois as 2.5 point favorites, so maybe a slight edge to them, but these odds are as close as it gets, really.
yeah, so going back to the bracket, I do know obviously they beat Purdue. When I made my bracket, I actually had Purdue beating Arizona in the Elite Eight. So I'm kind of surprised. I thought Purdue was a little bit better than they kind of showcased that night. But I got to give Arizona credit. They're here, Final Four against Michigan, who if I believe I'm correct, they lost to Purdue in the Big Ten championship, right?
Yep.
Okay, so you know I I, I don't really see why Arizona would lose this game. But Michigan's a great team as well, so anything can happen. At the end of the day, it's one team. I mean, I can get proven wrong, and Illinois can go and win the whole thing, right? I mean, they are a 3 seed, and they're a 3 seed for a reason. So I'm really excited to kind of see this matchup. I do think the better game of the two will be Michigan and Arizona. Um, I think UConn and Illinois will be a good game, but I just think it'll be really low scoring.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I know Illinois has a very solid offense. That offense has they average 83 points on the season, which is high. Um, and they only give up 68 points per game. Um, so I think if Illinois can kind of up the pace in this game, I think that would definitely throw UConn off a little bit because UConn is a slow paced team. They're not a run and gun type of team. They don't have any. Their guard play is not great. They rely more on their bigs and their forwards for scoring. So I think if the Illinois guards can push the pace in this game and then just outscore them, just outshoot them, I think Illinois wins this game. But what we've seen from UConn in the last two games against Duke and Michigan State is that this team can grind out wins, man. When you take a look at that Michigan State game, from the opening tip, UConn completely controlled the game in the first 10 minutes. They were hitting threes, they were out toughing Michigan State. And then, once the last 30 minutes of the game, Michigan State was the better team. and UConn pulled out in the final 5 minutes. It was a tie game, I believe, with 5 to play. UConn hit some shots, and they escaped with a win against a really good Michigan State team. And then obviously going down 15 against Duke. I think this this lucky kind of run from the Huskies runs out. I think Illinois is a more talented team, and I really think that size from Illinois is going to be a huge factor here. If Therese Reed gets in foul trouble in this game, I mean, I don't see a way UConn can win this game unless their guards hit some threes. But they have Malachi Smith at guard, solo ball, two solid guards, but they're not guys that could take over a game. And I think or not UConn. I think Illinois has better guard play and they're bigger. So I'm gonna take Illinois to win. I mean, I could see a score kind of like maybe 72-63, something like that. The line
Oh,
is
wow.
139. I would lean towards the under in this game. But I think Illinois has a better offense, and I think they kind of run away with this game late. So, at the beginning of the season, if you told me Illinois would make the national championship, I would not have believed you. But they played some really good basketball all year long. This team was ranked like four, I believe, at one point, and then Michigan State beat them in overtime, and they dropped a little bit, and they kind of went on a little bit of a uh, a bad
Well,
run there, but
yeah,
this team is ultra talented. So, I mean, if we can get a Michigan Illinois Big Ten national championship, that would be really interesting. Also, considering the Big Ten hasn't won the national championship since 2000, when Tom Izzo and the Spartans won against Florida in 2000, which was the last time a Big Ten team won the national championship. So
a
I
long
think
time ago.
Michigan or Illinois have a pretty good shot. And I think one of these teams definitely makes the national championship game. I mean, I would not be surprised if UConn and Arizona win, but I would expect one of these Big Ten teams to make this game and have a shot to end that 26-year long streak. Um, but overall, when I look at these two games, um, one is a little more high paced, high scoring. The other one is kind of a grinded out defensive type of game. And obviously, I think Arizona Michigan is going to be the more entertaining game. I think there's a lot more talent in this game. I mean, you have guys on Michigan that have played outstanding all year long. Yaxel Lendenborg, Big Ten Player of the Year, just went off for like 30 against Tennessee. He's gonna come up. He's gonna show up to play this game. They've got Morris Johnson inside, Eddie Mara, who's, I mean, their size is insane. Ellie Cadeau, just such a solid point guard, and they've got shooters and Roddy Gale, Trey McKinney. This team is just so good, man. Um, and I think this game does end up very close. But when you consider what Arizona has done this year, 36-2, they have some really solid players on this team. Jaden Bradley is one of the best guards in the country. Uh, they've got the Burries kid who can give you 20 any night, and then they have the 7'2" center in Krivas who can out rebound anyone on Michigan. So I'm gonna lean Arizona, as I said earlier, in a close game that kind of goes down to the wire. Um, but Michigan has such a good shot at winning this game, and they are the favorite right now. They are leaning Michigan 1.5 points, so maybe a slight edge to the Wolverines. But overall, this Arizona Wildcats team I think is too good not to win this game. And I do think they end up winning, and I think Illinois ends up winning Arizona Illinois national championship. I would like a close game between these two, but I think Arizona is a little bit more talented and has an edge in this game. They'd probably win that game by 10, maybe. Um, but yeah, that's gonna do it from my um, preview of these two Final Four games. The Final Four is such an exciting event every year. One of the things on my bucket list is to end up attending a Final Four. Um, so I hope I can do that in the future. Hopefully, watching my Michigan State Spartans there. But it's
That's
so
not
hard to
happening.
make a
That's
Final
not happening.
Four. It's so hard to make a Final Four in college basketball.
Yeah,
I was actually
crazy.
watching First Take today, and one of the questions was, "What do you think is harder to do, win an NBA championship or win a national championship?" So I'd like to uh, open that question to you and see what you think about that.
So, that's a really good question in my opinion. I think Personally, I think there's a lot of factors to it. Obviously, it's relatively easier to make a college basketball team than it is to make an NBA basketball team, which is pretty, I mean, that's pretty obvious, right? Um, so in that sense, it's technically easier to win a March Madness title. However, the thing with the NBA is you have a 7 game series, and the better team will, for the most part, win. Here, any team can win. I mean, it's 1 game, right? I mean, we've seen Cinderella runs. We've seen great teams get knocked out super early. I mean, just last year we saw a 1 seed get knocked out by like a 15th seed, if I'm not wrong. So, and the other thing is a lot of these players, they're only, at their college for a year or two max, right? So they really only have 1 or 2 chances to go and win the national championship in March Madness. When you go to the NBA, they're playing 10, 15 seasons, so you have a lot more opportunities for say. Obviously, the skill level's a lot higher than all that, but so and to answer your question, I do think that the March Madness tournament is harder to win um as a player in college. But just if you took the overall population, I think it's harder to win an NBA title. I don't know if that
Yeah,
kind of sounds stupid, but
yeah, that does make a lot of sense.
okay.
Stephen A. and Iman Shumpert actually said winning an NBA title is harder than winning a national
I'm not
championship.
surprised.
Um, I think winning the national championship in college is a lot harder because, as you said, to win an NBA title, you have to win 4 7 game series, and usually, yeah, the better team will win 4 games first before losing four. So, I think the ability to actually drop 3 games and still move on, I think is a huge advantage when in college, it's one and done. There are so many great teams that get booted early in the tournament because they have a bad game or a bad shooting night and they get eliminated. So I think winning the national championship is harder to do, and you also have to make the NCAA tournament, which is a huge accomplishment itself. I think like 75% of all college basketball programs, I think it's like 80% of all college basketball programs don't make this tournament. So to make the NCAA tournament is a huge accomplishment, and then to end up winning 6 games against the best collegiate teams in the country, I think is a lot harder than winning 4 7 game series. But it's a good debate, and
I
I can
I
definitely
think
see both sides of it.
I think
Um,
personally for me, like if the way that as you were talking, I was kind of thinking if I personally put myself in, let's say I pick the number 1 team for whatever year that's in college that year, and I put myself on that team, then I pick the number 1 seeded team in the NBA. Now, let's say I'm like a good player who's going to get drafted, right? So like I said, I only have 1 year of basically one shot at doing it, right? 1 game and I'm out. In the NBA, I lose a series 1 year and I can come back and do it again. So obviously, it's a lot harder to make an NBA team. There is that, but so yeah, I do agree with you. I do think the NCAA tournament is technically harder to win just because of it's a 1 game series and you kind of have a constricted time period. But um, I mean, it's just a really tough question in general because they're both different in their own ways. But one thing I wanted to kind of end off in is what you think the exact score is going to be. So I will start off first. So for the UConn and Illinois game, I'm gonna go UConn 68-60. I'm gonna go a pretty low scoring game. And then for Michigan and Arizona, I'm gonna go Arizona 88-87.
wow, that's a lot of points.
Yeah.
Um, I definitely agree with that kind of game style. I think the UConn game is going to be a little slower paced, a lot less shots. If I could pick a score, I'd probably I'd probably say something like 73-65.
I think it's gonna be a
Illinois.
larger gap, scoring gap. I don't think it's gonna
Um,
be larger
yeah,
than
the
8.
line right now is I believe it's 139, and they have UConn or not UConn. They have Illinois by 2.5.
Okay.
So I think Illinois covers that spread and wins by more than that because I trust their shooters more. I trust their
Okay.
guard play more. And I think they played in the Big Ten, and UConn plays in the Big East, which was not good this year. The Big East was terrible this year, and UConn really got extremely lucky against Duke. And I'm not going to say they were lucky against Michigan State because I do think they were the better team over 40 minutes. Um, but you can't rely on that to win a Final Four game. So um, you also have to consider though Illinois played a 9 seed in the Sweet Six or in the Elite Eight to get to this game, and if they play a Houston or not Houston, if they play a Florida, a team in their region that is better than them, I mean, they might not have got to this game either. So to wrap up, I think 74-67, 74-66, something like that. Uh, I'm not gonna say Illinois by double digits, but I think it kind of ends up close to there. And then regarding the other game, I agree with you. I think there's going to be a lot of points in this one. Um, I'll go. Michigan has so many wins by 20 plus points this year against just really great competition. They beat Duke. This one's tough. I like Arizona in a close one, but
Because of
that
Bryce
Michigan
James, right?
team is so good. Say it again.
Because of Bryce James,
No.
his 15 claps per game.
I'll go. I'll go 83-78
Okay, so
Arizona.
pretty close, I guess, in score. I went 88,
But I'm
87.
expecting two very extremely close games. These games will not be blowouts. I can guarantee you right
Oh,
now.
yeah,
There,
no, no way. No way.
these both of these teams or all of these teams, none of them are going to lose by 15 plus points. I'll bet my
Oh,
life
no,
on
I
it.
don't see. I mean, this is
Um,
literally the best of the best at this point.
Yeah,
So,
so that's gonna wrap this up for our Final Four preview. If you guys have any comments, feel free to share down below, and also leave us your predictions regarding these two games and who you think is gonna end up winning the national championship game. So I'll definitely be tuning in. Josh, I know you'll be tuning in as well.
yeah, absolutely.
And once the national championship game does get here, whoever teams make it, we'll make a preview video on that as well. But yeah, we hope you guys enjoyed this video. Um, Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us out with the um, algorithm and everything. So we'll end up posting more videos soon next week. And yeah, we'll see you guys in our next episode. See you later.
All right, see ya.